Hi, my name is Anneke van Giersbergen and you are watching Eclectic Arts.
All right, so we're here on a Sunday at Corazon in Seattle, and I want to welcome you back to
Thank
Seattle.
You just told me we were here with a gathering, and I didn't realize it.
Yeah, well, it was 12
Here we are.
it was 12 years ago, but yeah, here you are.
It's a lifetime ago. Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely, no, it's my pleasure. So let's kind of talk about the present, and we'll kind of talk about the future as well. And you were already kind of mentioning a few things before we started the interview, but for most fans in the U.S., they don't understand like what it takes to be able to come from Europe to tour over here. Can you kind of give some background on like some of the things that are involved, and also how you ended up on this tour?
Well, like I told you before, I hadn't done a proper tour since 12 years in the U.S. and Canada. It's also because it's difficult to, logistically to get a tour together and, visas, traveling and so on. So, and I have so much work in Europe and in Holland. So, and now there was this opportunity to join Delain and Amorphis, two fantastic bands, and both befriended bands. I know them both for so long, and yeah, and they had this idea like maybe you can start the evening with a solo acoustic set, and then we move into the heavy stuff, and that seemed such a good idea, and it works out. We're not halfway the tour, and it works out. Everybody really likes the building up to the bands, and I love it.
Awesome. And I know that you've done acoustic shows before overseas and other places around the world. And this set that you're doing is very eclectic. There's lots of different songs that you're doing. Some of your own material, some cover songs. How did you end up picking the set list of songs that you're doing? Because it's a wide variety.
Yeah, it is. I wanted to have like a broad set list with songs of my own, songs that I sang for other, projects like Devin and Arian and so on. So that's kind of my own material, and I do some really nice covers. I do this kind of performances a lot in Europe and in Holland. And I have this variety of cover songs that I just, love. Songs from the 80s and the 90s that I just love hearing and singing. So I do some Kate Bush, I do some eclectic stuff.
Yeah, Pink Floyd and Dolly Parton.
Yeah. And that's a bit of a joke, but everybody loves it. A metal crowd is also so open-minded. They're really, really into these songs, and metal crowd also knows other genres of music.
Sure.
And so I can just pick and choose, but of course I kind of try to pick songs that are kind of building up to the rock sets of the other bands.
Right. And so like you said that the set's been receptive on this tour, and I think again there's a lot of fans like myself that have been waiting to hear you sing anything, so they're just happy that you're here.
Thank you.
So let's kind of talk a little bit about the immediate future. You have some important shows coming up in November. Can you speak to those, please?
Yeah, it's amazing. We came up with, because I'm celebrating my 25 years of professional making music, singing, playing, and I did a bunch of things around that theme, and I'm ending it with two really special sold-out shows in Holland, where I show everything that I've done in that period, in the 25 years. So songs from the gathering, but also solo acoustic stuff, some songs with the band, with my metal band Vuur, with my first solo band, and the orchestra. So this one evening with lots of different stuff going on, and we're putting it together right now, and it's a huge undertaking, but it's going to be great. And we have Danny Kavanagh, we have Sharon Den Adel joining me on stage, and it's going to be really nice.
I can imagine that's going to be really a really emotional gigs for you. It's kind of like, here's my life of all these periods.
And in a way, you know, and everything means so much to me. Like my work with Danny and Sharon, and that they said yes when I asked them to join me, that's already, you know, huge. And with my work with Devin, and you know, all the things that will, you know, come by, I'm really excited. But it's a lot. I have to relearn a lot of songs, man. I'm listening to the songs. Oh yeah, this song, and I really like. I don't necessarily look back a lot on my life, or I never look at YouTubes. I never look at reviews of shows or anything, pictures. But now I have to listen to the old songs, and I quite enjoy it. But when it's done, I'm up to the, you know, I'm ready for the next 25 years of my career.
Nice. I know I saw an interview with Keith Richards when he was talking about, well, I know I wrote that song, that doesn't mean I know it.
Yeah. Well, you know what? I forget a lot of stuff, but it's somewhere in the back of my head. But when I listen to the songs that I didn't listen to for 10 years, because I don't necessarily listen to my own albums, and I'm going, oh, it's actually a good song. So usually I'm nicely surprised, which is a good thing.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay, so you've got those important gigs coming up, and again, people that know you know that you've had your hand in all kinds of different projects and collaborating with all kinds of different people. Is there anyone kind of down the road that you're thinking you're trying to get something together with somebody, or that you'd really like to again with an artist?
You know, I have these collaborations that kind of go on and on. Since I became a solo artist, work with Arjen Lucas, with Devin Townsend, with Within Temptation. Those guys, every now and then they ask me back for something, for a project or live or an album, and I really treasure that. So I have some ongoing, you know, relationships with musical relationships, and I really adore that. I hope that will last, you know. And other than that, I have my wishes, you know. I'm living the dream. I'm really perfectly happy with what I'm doing. But you know, singing with Michael Ankerveld, for instance, you know, that's a bit of a dream. But for the rest, you know, sometimes, you know, down the road you meet new people, and you meet or your heroes or whatever, and you kind of connect and you work together, and it's a blast, really.
Nice. And even though, like you mentioned, you don't really look back in terms of your career, you're always looking forward. But overall, can you kind of think about, I mean, for 25 years, that's a long period of time.
Yes.
It's quite, you know, more than half your life.
Yeah.
Are there any kind of just random things off the top of your head that just kind of stand out for whatever reason, good, bad, or indifferent? Because you started off very young. Obviously, you're also a parent now.
Yeah.
And so, you know, lots of things have changed, but there might be a few things that kind of pop out. Oh, I remember that, or that one show, or when this happened.
Yeah, you know, at the gathering, I was a kid, you know. I was 19 or whatever, 20, and I was oblivious to a lot of things. So you're in the band and you become popular very fast. And you tour around the world, and then you start learning about life and about everything, about relationships, about yourself, so you learn in a good way, but you also learn sometimes the hard way, you know, make a lot of mistakes,
Sure.
do a lot of stupid things. But all in all, so sometimes I don't like looking back on that, because it's like, oh, I was such a kid, you know. It's like, I'm happy I'm 46 because now I know so much. I'm a mother, and you know, you have these responsibilities, and it feels good. But sometimes that overclouds looking back on my life when I was younger, you know. On the other hand, if I look back on those days, we made some wonderful music. But looking back on that same period, I learned so much, and we made some magnificent music, and we saw so many places in the world, and I learned. Maybe that's it, you know, live and learn. So that's the most important thing. Plus, you know, you have some things that are standing out. Like I sang in Holland a couple of years ago. I sang for the king, for our king, I sang for the Dalai Lama. That was just so special. You know,
Sure.
these little projects, they come just on your path, and you get so much pleasure out of that. And they're working together. Like for instance, now with Amorphis, you know, they are so great, and they make so. I mean, I've been listening to them since we toured with the Gathering. They were touring. You know, we know their music.
Right.
We know each other for so long, and now you get to work together, and it's really, you know, I enjoy it all.
Awesome. One thing to kind of get close to wrapping this up, if we don't have other interruptions. Cue the drum. Oh, okay. You've been a professional musician for 25 years. So what kind of advice would you give to new young musicians, particularly vocalists?
You know, I think the most important thing as a vocalist or as a musician or as a songwriter or as a performer is to find your own strength. So copying somebody is relatively easy, you know, because, you know, and we all are inspired by, you know, our heroes, and but to find your own voice, to find your own melodic fingerprint, to find your own way of performing, whether it's being shy or whether it's being all out, it doesn't matter as long as you find, because then people pick up on it. They pick up on your energy, not, you know, the energy you pick from somebody else. I think, you know, I had to, you know, so in the beginning I was really innocent. You had your own strength because you didn't think about it. And then you become more conscious of who you are, what you're doing, what you want, where you want to go in life, blah, blah, blah. And you have to kind of refine out who you are. And I thought that was a bit of a journey, you know. And like young people nowadays, they are very, very conscious about themselves, and they know what they want much more than what we were in the 80s and the 90s. So I think it's the kids, they know better than we did. But again, they shouldn't lose themselves in this whirlwind of everything that's going on in the music scene, you know. So that would be my 2 cents of advice.
And I actually have one other question that I just remembered. On this tour, on a day off, you had a chance to go to Pacey Park.
Yeah.
And I think you were the only person that was there. So can you speak to like that experience of being there?
Oh my goodness, it was so wonderful because in the middle of the night before, I thought, you know what, I'm just gonna do it. I'm buying a ticket, and there was 2 tours sold out in the morning. And I was like, okay, so because, you know, you have to be back in time to do sound check, and so I was thinking, oh, it's a small, you know, window, but I'm gonna do it, and we'll see what happens. And so I bought a ticket, so it was available a ticket. So I come there, and they said, well, miss, you're the only one. And I just got a private tour, so I could ask a bunch of questions, and I could take my time. And so I was super lucky, and I got to buy the T-shirts and everything. But so it was also very special because, you know, you see all his personal, you know, his clothes, the venue that he does the tryout shows in, and, you know, all the ground that he walked up there, he lived there. He has his personal office, you could see that. You know, his books were there, his CDs were there. So his driver's license, it was just little things like that, and so personal. And I don't know, I carried this atmosphere, like this vibe with me, like for days after. It was so special, and I wanted to go there for 20 years, over 20 years. It was my wish to just go there. And now you can, because they have the tours, you can go inside, you know. I would be happy just to stare at the building, and I was the only one. I was so lucky. Yeah.
That's amazing. Sounds like an amazing experience.
It was.
Well, you're actually giving that same experience to a lot of fans, whether you realize it or not, in terms of just hearing you sing and being around your presence. So thank you so much for taking the time today.
Thank you for being here.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to the show tonight.
Thank you. I won't let you down. Editing, right?
Yeah.
I thought you were done.
as you were saying.
So
This is like a comedy or something.
that is. It'll make a good edit out of this.
Yeah. I got my question in, and I can cut it.
I thought he had a jet lag, but he's really active.
Maybe too much coffee or Red Bull or something.
I suppose so, both. What was your question?
Okay.
We're getting good at this.